All right, so you've built a game-changing AI that can revolutionize diagnostics. That's the exciting part. But now comes the real challenge. And it's not the tech, it's navigating the regulatory maze. Today, we're going to demystify the entire path to market in Saudi Arabia. We'll take the official SFDA guidance and turn it into a clear step-by-step roadmap to get your software from code to clinic.
So you've done it. You've poured everything into creating this brilliant piece of software, an AI that can sift through complex medical data and pull out these incredible insights. But right as you're getting ready to launch, this huge question pops up. Is what you've built just a helpful app? Or is it a full-blown regulated medical device in the eyes of the Saudi Food and Drug Authority? You know, getting this wrong isn't a small mistake. It can stop your entire project dead in its tracks.
But here's the good news. The SFDA isn't trying to trick you. They've actually laid out a pretty clear roadmap. And understanding that roadmap right from the beginning, that's the difference between a successful launch and a project that gets tangled in red tape. So let's dive into that first crucial step. Okay, step one is all about qualification. Before you do anything else, you have to know exactly what your product is from a regulatory perspective. Are we talking about an AI-based IVD SAMD? Now, that's a mouthful, I know. It stands for In Vitro Diagnostic Software as a Medical Device. Let's break down what that actually means. So the whole foundation here is this idea of SAMD, or Software as a Medical Device. The SFDA uses the official definition from the big international group, the IMDRF. And the key thing to get here is that we're talking about standalone software. This isn't the code that just runs a big physical machine in a lab. No, this is the intelligence itself, the software that performs a medical function all on its own, maybe on a doctor's computer or even a smartphone. Now, SAMD is a really broad category, but what we're focused on here is a specific type, the AI-based in vitro diagnostic device. Basically, this is software that looks at specimens from the human body, you know, things like lab results, pathology slides, or genomic data, and gives you diagnostic information. So the big question is, how do you know for sure if your SAMD falls into this IVD bucket? Well, the SFDA gives us this really clear three-step pathway. Think of it like a series of gates you have to pass through. First gate, does the information your software puts out actually count as IVD information? For instance, does it predict a disease based on a blood test? If yes, you go to the next gate. Is the data it's using coming exclusively from other IVD devices? This is a really important distinction. If your AI is looking at an ECG trace and a blood test, it might be classified differently. And finally, the last gate. Is the main reason for the software, its primary purpose, really driven by that IVD data? How you answer these questions is going to define your entire regulatory strategy. And this right here really shows you where that dividing line is. On the left, you've got software with a very clear medical job to do. It analyzes data to help make a clinical decision. But on the right, you have software that supports the world of healthcare, but isn't making a medical call. Things like billing software, a diet tracker, or even a secure messaging app for doctors. Their purpose is administrative or about general wellness, not diagnosis. Okay, so once you've confirmed that yes, you do have a regulated AI IVD SAMD on your hands, the real work begins. Before you can even think about submitting anything, you have to build your case on what I like to call the foundational trinity, 3 absolutely essential pillars of pre-market compliance. Pillar number 1 is clinical evaluation. And listen, this is so much more than just having a cool algorithm that works in the lab. As the SFDA guidance spells out, this is the formal process of gathering hard, objective evidence that proves your software is safe, that it's effective, and that it performs exactly the way you say it does. This is the scientific backbone of your entire submission. Pillar 2 is risk management. Think of this as your systematic plan to answer one simple question. What could possibly go wrong, and what are we going to do about it? You have to proactively hunt down every potential hazard, from a glitch in the algorithm to a user interface that's just plain confusing, and then put controls in place to bring that risk down to an acceptable level. And the third pillar is cybersecurity. And let me be clear, this absolutely cannot be an afterthought you tack on at the end. The FDSDA is crystal clear on this. Security has to be baked into your device from the very first line of code. It has to be designed to identify, protect, detect, respond, and recover from any threat, because you're not just protecting the device, you're protecting patient data, and ultimately, patient safety itself. Now, let's dig into that clinical evaluation piece a bit more, because for AI, the bar is set incredibly high. It's really a 3-part journey.
First, you need a valid clinical association. You have to prove that what your AI is measuring actually matters for the patient's health. Second is analytical validation. This is where you prove your algorithm is technically rock solid. And here, the SFDA expects to see large, independent data sets from multiple sites to prove you're not biased. Finally, there's clinical validation, where you prove it works in the real world using metrics like sensitivity and specificity. And the real gold standard isn't just showing the AI works on its own. It's proving that a doctor using your AI is actually better at their job.
When it comes to your risk management file, you have to think way beyond just typical software bugs. You have to tackle the really unique challenges of AI. I mean, what if your model learns the wrong thing? Or it confuses two things that happen at the same time with one causing the other? A huge one is data drift. Imagine your model was trained on data from one place, but a new clinic uses slightly different equipment. Well, that drift could slowly make your model less accurate over time. Your risk file has to anticipate and have a plan for all of these AI-specific problems. So with those foundational pillars built and your evidence in hand, you're finally ready to start putting together your submission package. This is the formal application for Medical Device Marketing Authorization, or MDMA. Let's take a look at the core pieces you'll need. Your technical file is basically the complete biography of your device. It tells the whole story. You'll detail your AI model, your entire development process, and of course, you'll include that full benefit risk analysis, which is all structured around the international standard ISO 14971. You'll also package up all that validation evidence we just talked about. And this is critical. You have to include your plan for post-market surveillance. You have to show them you have a solid plan for keeping an eye on your device, even after it's on the market. Now, this concept of equivalence can be a massive game changer for your whole project. It basically answers the question, do we need to run a huge, expensive, brand new clinical trial? If your AI is truly novel, doing something completely new, then yeah, the answer is probably yes. But, and this is a big but, if you can rigorously prove that your device is equivalent to one that's already been approved by the SFDA in terms of what it does, the type of model it uses, and the data it's trained on, you might be able to leverage existing data and dramatically shorten your path to approval. Getting that MDMA approval is a huge milestone, but it is absolutely not the finish line. For an AI device, a device that is literally designed to learn and change, your responsibilities after it hits the market are just as important as all the work you did beforehand. This table, straight from the SFDA's AI guidance, is basically your rulebook for making updates. Just look at the different classifications. A major change, like making your AI more accurate than you originally promised, means you need a whole new approval. Even a simple change to the look of the user interface needs an approval process. Minor stuff like bug fixes can just be reported every so often, but look at that very last row, the training data change. This is where it gets really interesting for AI. This is it. This is the multi-million-dollar question for every single company making AI medical devices. Your model is built to get smarter with more data, but when does that natural improvement cross a regulatory line and force you to go all the way back to the SFDA for permission? And the answer comes down to what's called the performance envelope you defined way back in your original submission. Think of it like a set of boundaries. As long as the updates you make to your model keep its performance within that approved range for things like accuracy, you can manage those changes yourself. But the second an update pushes the performance beyond that approved range, bam, it becomes a major change and you're headed back to the SFDA for a new approval. All of this ongoing work is managed under something called a quality management system, or a QMS. This system, which really should follow the medical device standard ISO 13485, is the rulebook for everything you do, from how you manage your training data to how you handle customer complaints. In your cybersecurity work, it never, ever stops. You have to have a post-market plan to constantly watch for new threats, figure out the risk, and manage any vulnerabilities for the entire life of the device. Look, there's no doubt about it, the SFDA's roadmap is demanding, it's rigorous, but it's also clear and it's logical. It gives you a predictable, actionable path that takes a lot of the guesswork out of the process. If you follow this roadmap, you can take what seems like this overwhelming, complex challenge and turn it into a manageable process for getting a safe and effective AI device to the people who really need it. So I'll just leave you with this one last thought to chew on. You have the map now to get your device approved. But the bigger question, the real long-term question is this. Is your entire organization, and especially your quality management system, actually built to handle the life cycle of a product that is literally designed to never stop learning? That is the ultimate challenge, and that's the key to success in this new world.